It's definitely a little surreal seeing everything going on, especially at Columbia. It's really surreal to see that happening both in America at our top universities. And it's scary to think that stuff like that could happen potentially even here. Yeah, I think it has a wide range. I'll speak on behalf of the Jewish community. I think for some people it's sad to say that stuff like this has almost become normal, but some people have just seen this as just another thing to deal with. But I know for a lot of people this has definitely been something above what is normal and really scary. I know people who have been who have asked to have someone walk them home just because they're intimidated by the presence of the encampment. Just hearing some of the things they're chanting is definitely really, really scary for a lot of people. Yeah, so one of there are a few different chants. One of them specifically calling for globalizing the Intifada. That's a really scary one for us. I know obviously the word has different connotations to different people, but especially for Jews, basically what that reminds us of is the first and second Intifada that happened, where it was basically just terrorism against Israeli civilians. So saying to globalize the Intifada, what that means to us is just globalize the idea of just killing innocent Jews. That's something that really is one of the chants that really is scary to hear. Yeah, so well, I would say definitely we appreciate that there has been a response, that the university seems to be putting this at a priority. Obviously, I think that there are more things that can be done. These encampments definitely are not, really conducive of a great environment and are violating code of conduct. So we would want the university to uphold its code of conduct. I think this is it's a problem that we've had in the past, where when the university doesn't enforce rules, then the groups that are breaking those rules tend to push further and further. It reminds me of what happened actually in October when we had a bomb threat. There were a lot of things before that were violations of code of conduct or other rules, and I'm not saying that those caused these bomb threats, but what they did is they created an environment where stuff like that is more allowed, and it allows groups to keep on pushing that boundary more and more. Right now, I don't feel like there's a huge threat to Jewish students on campus with the encampment. You can still walk around it. It's not directly threatening people. But when you have violations of code of conduct, what happens is that allows for these groups to continue furthering and furthering where the boundary of what's okay and what's not okay. So I think it's really important for us in the Jewish community or what a lot of people think is the university needs to enforce a code of conduct, its own code of conduct, to allow for nothing else to happen further. I know I don't envy being in their position. I don't know if I'm going to say, here's exactly what to do, X, Y, Z. I think what I would say is just they need to enforce the code of conduct, and whatever that falls out to be, that has to be. But when the university says, I remember when it just got set up, they said, all right, everyone needs to leave by, let's say, 1 o'clock, and then it didn't happen. And then they said, 8 o'clock, something's going to happen, and nothing happened. And when they do that, then it makes them look weak, and it makes them lose their integrity. So, protest isn't being able to protest. That's a right, and being able to, express your opinions about matters, even matters that are beyond just the university, is important to a lot of people, and that's a huge part of it. It's the expression, free speech, free expression. It's what Cornell set as their theme of the year. At the same time, those have to be done under the correct boundaries to also create a space that's conducive for everyone to feel totally safe and feel like they are, it's a university, it's a place where people can learn. And if people are starting to feel intimidated to a point where they aren't able to be a student, then you get to a point where the free speech is infringing on students' ability to be students, and that's where you start to get problems. Yeah, it was. I said the word surreal before, and that's sort of what it feels like. Seeing what's going on and seeing some of the videos, it almost, when I watched some of these videos, it almost felt like it was like a horror movie. I remember a video where people were creating a human chain and saying to kick Zionists out of the camp, and that rhetoric is just, to me, it's almost reminiscent of either Germany before the Holocaust, or I don't know. It doesn't feel it almost doesn't feel real, and it's terrifying would be an understatement. To imagine that, I don't think that's going to happen here. I really hope not. But to imagine that on any college campuses where I have close friends, to know that those people are there with them in classes, it's scary. Yeah, so the badge itself says Halev Shalom Shavui Baza, and what that means is like our hearts are still captive in Gaza, and what's really important to us is to just remember what we're fighting for, and there are still hostages, innocent civilians, even some American citizens who have been there for now over 200 days and haven't seen, I don't know what's going on there, but it's terrifying. And for us, especially the Jewish community, there are a lot of people who maybe you don't know someone, but you know someone who knows someone. One of my friend's cousins is there, and we don't know if he's dead or alive, and it's scary, but we have to remember every day, basically. That's why we wear it.